A couple of weeks ago, I wrote in one of my weekly email newsletters about the impact of AI, or artificial intelligence, which has dominated the news headlines and gotten a lot of interest in the last few months. By the way, my name is Russ Thornton. I am the founder of Wealth Care for Women, and I wanted to follow up that email newsletter. I had offered in the email to do a quick walkthrough video showing some examples of how you can use some of these AI tools. And while I'm no expert, I do find them interesting. So let me share my screen and show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. So shortly, you should be looking at my screen, and I'm going to start here with trusty Google, which I think probably most of you are familiar with. So let's say, what's a good example? I'm going to put in a search, and I'm going to put in what is your best retirement planning advice for a woman in her 60s? Hit return, and what is amazing about Google is in less than 1 second, it gives you 210 million results, as you can see right here. The challenge is you now have to click through these different web pages, websites, find the information you're looking for. It's not delivered to you in a filtered or concise manner. So enter tools like ChatGPT, which are based on a large language model. So here, if I go to ChatGPT, let me pull this up, and I enter the exact same thing. What is your best retirement planning advice for a woman in her 60s? And hit enter. You will see in real time, ChatGPT is actually typing out or generating the answer. And so assess your financial situation, set retirement goals, calculate retirement income needs, maximize retirement savings, consider Social Security. These are all appropriate and well thought out suggestions. These are bullet or points I might very well make if I were answering this question myself. And within moments, ChatGPT gives you this nine-point list of things to think about. But that's just a simple example. Let's look at another. If we go to ChatGPT and I say, tell me a joke about last-minute retirement planning, and hit enter. Why did the procrastinating retiree choose to take up skydiving? Because they heard it was the fastest way to watch their retirement savings drop. I don't know if I would consider that a joke, but there you go. So there's a lot of things you can do with these tools. Let's look at another. Let's go. So now I'm going to pull up Google's AI or large language model called BARD, B-A-R-D. So when that comes up, I'm going to enter, who is financial advisor Russ Thornton? And let's see what our friends at Google or their AI have to say. Okay, so they don't have enough information about that person. Let's try another AI tool called Perplexity, and I'm going to enter the same thing. Who is financial advisor Russ Thornton? Hit enter, give it a second, and you can see here, Russ Thornton is a financial advisor who, yada, yada, yada. And you can see it is scraping this information off of sites like Wealth Tender, my website, my LinkedIn profile, and elsewhere. You can also treat this in a conversational manner. So I could also follow that up by saying, how old is he? And so this is interesting. Some sources suggest he's 67 years old. I'm not, by the way. Others suggest he would be between 43 and 85, and I am between 43 and 85, but that's a pretty wide margin and not a very good answer. Nevertheless, you can see maybe sort of some of the shortcomings of using a tool like this. Let's go back over to ChatGPT. And you can use it for research or providing more contextual information. What has average inflation been in the US for the past 75 years? And here you go. Average rate of inflation in the United States has been approximately 3.61% per year. And let's see what Google says with the same question. What has the average inflation rate been in the US for the past 75 years? Google's thinking it takes a little bit longer. ChatGPT seems to be a little bit more responsive. Here you can see it says 3.8. So whereas ChatGPT says 3.61, Google's Bard says 3.8, but it also provides a lot more contextual information here, which is kind of interesting. Let's think of another. You can actually and this is actually one of the ways I first discovered some of these AI tools. I saw this on Twitter. I want to say it was back in December. Someone had prompted ChatGPT with, write a biblical verse in the style of the King James Bible explaining how to remove a peanut butter sandwich from your VCR. So hit enter, and there you go. I won't read the whole thing, but it starts off, and lo, in the realm of technological devices, there arose a great conundrum. For behold, a peanut butter sandwich hath found its way into the sacred chamber of the VCR. Thus spoke the wise man, fear not, for I shall bestow upon thee the knowledge of its removal, that the VCR may be cleansed of this unholy alliance. And it goes on for another, 100 plus words there. So there's a lot you can do here. The final thing, and this is sort of reminiscent of a great Seinfeld episode. Explain the problems with renting a car in the voice of Jerry Seinfeld. And you can see here, renting a car, it's like entering a whole new, and this is just, if you've watched enough Seinfeld, this is pretty much keeping with his character and his voice. You could also say, let's change it from Jerry Seinfeld to George Costanza. I'm a Seinfeld fan, by the way. And as you can see here, it's a little bit more abrasive, as is typical of George Costanza's voice and approach to life. So am I worried about ChatGPT or other tools like this replacing my job? No. While they're good at retrieving and summarizing information, and they do so in what I think is a pretty interesting and ingenious way, it lacks a lot of nuance and emotion. It lacks empathy, and so no, I'm not worried about losing my job to a computer anytime soon. But beyond these text-based AI tools, there are also some interesting things you can do with images. There's a tool called MidJourney. The website's pulling up here. And to use it, you have to pay. You have to buy credits. I have not bought credits, but I can show you some examples of it here shortly as the page loads. And to use it, you actually go into an online chat forum and you basically ask the chat forum, or you ask MidJourney or an online bot for MidJourney to create a image based on your description, and it'll do it. So here you can see this is their community showcase. This is publicly available on their website. So if you go to midjourney.com /showcase/recent, you can see some examples. So if I hover over these images, you can see the actual prompts that were given to ask for these. So here, this beautiful image of a horse, it says bay stallion horse head with white star on forehead, dramatic lighting, soft illustration, painting illustration. And it generated this image. Here is a little bit more of a kind of a, let's see, this doesn't, this isn't showing the description here. These flowers, coloring book for kids page, cute flowers, white background, cartoon art. So they actually created basically a coloring book page that maybe kids could print and draw this or color this in. Here's a cool one, Highland cow in sunglasses in the style of realistic surrealism, strong graphic elements, silver and amber, etc. And you can just scroll through and see, I mean, the variety and the detail in some of these images, whether they look like photos or paintings or whatever. It's just kind of amazing. So here's one of cereal and milk. Here's a cow. Here's a VW van. You can just kind of explore and see what's possible. If you want to play with the image generation yourself, I would recommend you go to Bing Creator. So it's bing.com/images/create. You can use this for free. Here you can see, similarly, if I hover over this, origami rainbow arch on a white background, and it created this rainbow here. A panda bear baking a cake in a sunny kitchen, digital art. You can see this one right here. A Renaissance painting of an elephant in a tuxedo. Here you can see that one. Let's try large dog wearing pants in a cartoon format like Bugs Bunny. So I entered that in. I hit enter. It's going to take a moment because it has to do its calculations to generate the image, but we'll give that just a moment, and we'll see what it pops up. So there you go. I guess I can see some elements of Bugs Bunny, but there's your large dog wearing pants in a cartoon type format. There's a lot of cool things you can do with these tools. All of these are free, by the way. You can pay for ChatGPT. They have a $20 a month plan that gives you access to their latest ChatGPT 4.0 model. I'm using their free plan, which is access to their 3.5 large language model, and it's still pretty amazing. A couple of other examples I did. So when my wife and I were planning our trip to Florida here a few weeks ago, ahead of that trip, let's see if this will load for me. I went in and said, as you can see over here on the left, ChatGPT will save your past prompts. And I'm trying to get it to pull this one up here. And it's not. Let me just try to enter it. So we were going to Cape San Blas, which is in the Florida Panhandle, and restaurants in a table with days and hours that they're open. So rather than go through Google and look up each individual restaurant we might want to go to and have to check the hours and things like that, you can just go and say something like this. Give me a table showing the restaurants on Cape San Blas with the days they're open and the hours they're open. I can tell you from experience, this is not entirely accurate, but it certainly beats having to look through each individual Google listing for the details. Let's see what else. Let's see. I had a client ask me about this several weeks ago. What are the highlights of a 529 college savings account? And it talks about 529 accounts and some of the details, all of which I'm familiar with, but this provided some more detail than I would have been able to without having gone in and looked up some resources just to make sure that I was getting kind of all the details. In the email I'd mentioned a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about these AI tools, here's the prompt I put in. Explain how the U.S. Income tax system works like I'm a 12-year-old, and be sure to explain how income tax rates are progressive. And this is the answer that it gave me, and this is what I actually shared, copied and pasted into my email. So there's a ton you can do with these. I would encourage you to go to these websites, explore them. You can also look up, let's see, list of ChatGPT prompts. There is actually a burgeoning field in consulting that will actually help you better utilize these tools by refining your prompts and giving you ideas on how you can use these tools in your personal life, in your business, things like that. So you can search around and you can find a ton of options. Instead of using Google, I could say, give me some examples of interesting prompts I can use with you. And so here you go. This is ChatGPT telling me or suggesting to me what I can ask for it to give me. So tell me a story about a time traveling adventure to ancient Egypt, and the list goes on. Here's 10 examples. So this one looks interesting. Describe a day in the life of a superhero with unusual powers. Let's give that a shot, and we'll wrap it up with this. Let me paste that in here and hit enter. And let's see what ChatGPT does with their own suggestion. All right, so apparently the superhero's name is Sparkletron. And here's a day in the life of, and it goes on. That's probably 200 or 300 words. Just kind of cranks it out. So anyway, these are interesting. I find them interesting. I expect I have used them. I will probably continue to use them, as I suspect more and more people and companies will do in the future. If you find this interesting, like I do, let me know. Send me an email. You can leave a message on my email newsletter or whatever works best for you. But let me know what you think, and I hope you find this. Hope you found this helpful. And until next time, it's Russ Thornton. Talk to you later.